everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today we're doing our last Best Picture Academy Award winning movie. And this came out in 1978. Does anybody know does anybody know what the name of the movie was? Well, it was everybody's favorite Vietnam War ending tragedy, drama, Meryl Streep, Robert De Niro, Michael Savage.
What's it called? Like what? Like Little Monsters? Little Monsters?
Yeah.
Fast
The
Times?
Deer Hunter.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That sounded like it was gonna. What was that? Was gonna be?
Yeah. Well, it was The Deer Hunter, and it won Best Picture.
And this
Academy Award for Best Picture.
This was my pick because last year I watched half of it, and then Amazon Prime took it off of Amazon Prime right when I was halfway through it.
That's a shame.
And so I figured it would be just good to finally finish the movie. Sort of like how in the movie Robert De Niro leaves and then comes back to Vietnam at the end. So that's pretty funny. And Safi, this is our last Best Picture for this year, and honestly, it might be the weakest one out of all six of them. It's tough because obviously Sound of Music was like torture. I mean, it was like
not for
torture.
Me.
Absolute torture. But it definitely is either 6th place or 5th place. Because it's not as good as Marty, that's for sure. Marty makes a lot more sense. And this movie has some problems. And even though it's 3 hours, it doesn't feel like it's 3 hours. It feels like it's 12 hours. But not in a good way, because the movie's pacing structure is all over the place. I really hated the structure of this movie, the way that you would have these scenes that were going on that were really good scenes, and then they'd just be cut off in the middle of them. Like when they're hunting, they're on a hunting trip, they're in the middle of hunting, then all of a sudden, boom.
You see Vietnam.
Yeah, and it's like,
I noticed that.
I hated that. It was so irritating.
I was surprised. But I don't remember little details like that.
It's not a little detail at all.
Well, I don't remember that.
I'm talking about the movie in general, and that's just an example.
I don't think, and yeah, you're right. I don't even think that was the only time that happened.
It happened all throughout the movie. And it was really irritating because the movie had all these great scenes sometimes, and then they just cut off. They just go, boop, cut off, as if they're like worried that it's already too long, and so they can't show any more. And the pacing was really bad. I mean, you had like the first hour was just like the wedding, kind of like with The Godfather, but at least with The Godfather it was good. Like, this really was like kind of like watching paint dry. And then there's some good stuff though. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's a terrible pace, because you kind of get what they're trying to do, because this movie's about a group of friends in a small town, and they're all getting ready to go to Vietnam together to fight the pointless, unnecessary conflict that never should have happened at all. And then they go to Vietnam and they come back and they're all screwed up. That's the movie. It's pretty mixed for me. I mean, it's too bad because when I watched it last year, I thought that the first half was really good, but then when I watched it in full this year, I really was not as much of a fan of it. It was kind of like painful to sit through. Safi,
Yes?
don't fall asleep.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not actually.
Yeah, you
I'm
are.
thinking about it as you're talking, and
As you're yawning.
well, I can't stop yawning. Okay, sorry.
What'd you think about the movie, Safi? I mean, it's a two-person review.
I've seen the movie before. I saw it when it came out, and I think I may have seen it once since then. So now this will make it twice since then. And since I'm looking at things more critically now that I do reviews, I was a little surprised at those drop-offs in the scenes. I mean, there were multiple drop-offs. For example, here was one important. They had escaped from being in captivity, and I think this was a rogue POW operation because there weren't that many people involved, and they were by the river, and there was no hut or anything, and I just think that was some kind of rogue operation. But regardless, they showed everything that happened and how they escaped, and then they were going along, running around on the river, evading being caught again, and so the helicopters come, the American helicopters, and they pick up Christopher Walken, and then. But they couldn't do the other two. They had them hanging on the chopper, the I don't know what those things are, the bottom of the chopper, the landing, whatever those things are, the feet, I'll just say the feet. And they couldn't stay on. That one guy, this is something I was going to ask Marco before we started. He had, when he was in captivity, I think it was because he had his legs folded up or something, but he cut off the circulation. Well, they were a mess, and they were infected, and I don't think he was in terrible, terrible pain, and he just couldn't. He was using his strength just to manage the rest of himself, and through this pain, and he couldn't stay on. So, Michael, the
Michael. Just say Michael, Safi.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah, he's Michael.
Went down into the water with him because we dropped off of the helicopter, went in the water, and he couldn't even really hardly stay afloat, and Robert De Niro had to help him. Finally, I guess they got rescued, but they didn't show any of that because it just dropped off to the hospital, and you see... you see Christopher Walken, he was the one who made on the chopper. He's sitting there, goes, Michael, and he, because he's a little bit messed up, and because of being in captivity, they had to do Russian roulette every day, and they were, and also this thing.
Every day?
I guess so, and then they
they only showed,
watch other people.
I only got to see this one day, so.
Well, yeah,
didn't really feel like they were in captivity for that long.
I don't know. So you just don't know really, and but whatever he was freaked out over whatever experiences they had. He was freaked out about.
They don't show a lot of stuff. It's really irritating. Like this kind of stuff, it really bothers me because you have this movie with these great actors giving these great performances. The movie looks really good. Like, don't you wish movies would look like this nowadays, Safi? Like, there's all these vibrant colors, and it looks like a painting. But nowadays, everything just looks so ugly and dull and colorless, like the Batman movie. Just think about how that movie looked in comparison to this.
Well, you couldn't see it at all. It was all dark.
This looked really good, and it was sad because... the story was really effed up, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if this was just such a close adaptation to the book, and maybe the book was effed up, because I was surprised to learn that the book is only like 180 pages. And to me, this 3 hours, I thought, well, the book has got to be like 800 pages or something to warrant like a 3-hour movie, but no. It's just like 180 pages. It's a short novel. It's like a little bit longer than a Goosebumps book, which I read those all the time. So, I really don't know who's at fault for these really steep drop-offs in the plot. Like, even at the very end, Safi, even at the, even at the very end of the movie, like they're in the middle of like having a funeral day breakfast for Christopher Walken, and they're in the middle of this breakfast, and then all of a sudden it freeze frames and it drops off, and we don't get to see anything.
Well,
It was like WTF.
The only thing I can think of is that they didn't feel like they needed to finish the scenes, that people would know. I mean, like I said, when they were, we don't see their being rescued. We see Christopher Walken the next moment. After we see him struggling in the river, we see Christopher Walken sitting in the hospital, and some, I don't know what he was, doctor, orderly, what, questioning him about who he was, trying to help make an identification of him so they could notify his family, I don't know what, but, and he could hardly talk, and he could hardly think.
You don't get to see Robert De Niro escape.
No, you don't see any
Nothing.
of that. And I don't know if it's because they feel like you don't need to, because the book was
But we do.
I don't know.
We do. That's what a story is. You know, you see ABC. You don't show B and C and cut out A and D.
Yeah, well, that's what they did. Like, not just once, but multiple times.
This was like a fill in the blank story. Like, you really could have like said, okay, audience, here's this blank section here. Feel free to fill it up with whatever you think happens. Here's this little section here. You can fill up what happens there. And it was weird. It was very weird. And that's the unfortunate part, because it really felt like the movie was handicapped the entire movie. Like, the entire movie was a person with no legs rolling around and not being able to do things because of being cut off at the knees, literally and figuratively. Like, there was some scenes near the end where, you know, we had this fun scene where they're bowling together. That was really fun. Seeing Meryl Streep bowl. And Meryl Streep is really good in this movie, wouldn't you say, Safi? Like, she gave a good performance.
She's always been good. That's where she started, those early movies.
Yeah, she looks a lot better than Julie Andrews with the boy haircut, Safi.
She wasn't a nun.
Well, and so they're bowling, and then all of a sudden the scene just cuts off. And then, like, they're in a store together, and that scene just cuts off. And it's so frustrating. It's
like somebody got an axe and they chopped the film.
It's like The Shining. Like, the guy from The Shining got his axe and then started chopping up the film. But the themes are still there. I mean, you can still get the gist of their story. And the story is pretty good because it's all about friendship. There is a little bone that I have to pick, though, because, you know, nowadays they make everything about gay, lesbian, diversity. And in this movie, for some reason, there's this BS where at one point they start calling Robert De Niro a gay guy, too. Like, just because he's not, like, successful with women. And it's really weird because it comes completely out of nowhere, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of the movie. And I thought, like, why do we have to have this, like, where...
Well, I just think it was their culture, their language, because I recognized it all.
But the way that they said it, though, like, I would understand saying, like, you really messed it up with that waitress. What are you, a faggot? Like, I'd understand like that, but the way that they said it was like, you know, you're really not into girls, are you? You don't like getting with girls, do you? You must be you know what? Because there was that last week where you had the waitress and you didn't even get with her, and you're not even going to get with any other girls. And it's like, it's really weird, like, just out of nowhere thing. Like, it never comes up later on in the movie, and I'm just thinking, like, these guys are friends. Like, why do you have to, like, why is it that, like, every time that you have two guys that are friends, everything has to be about making them gay?
I don't know.
Like, why is that?
But it seemed to me, it reminded me of talking, not me talking, but listening to
Yeah,
people
you did,
talk.
Safi. Come on.
No, it wasn't.
Why?
Because I just didn't talk like that. But it was people talk like that. I remember.
Yeah.
And they also, there was something else that they were saying
It was really weird,
over and
though.
over and over again. I think it was the word Fuck. And what was it? I don't know. They kept saying it. And I know somebody, we know somebody who says that now. Over
Fuck?
and over again.
But they didn't say fuck all that much. But it was just so random the way that out of nowhere they accused Robert De Niro of being gay. It's
Well,
like what? It's like it's so stupid.
It was the actor. He's passed away. He actually was with Meryl Streep, and he had a relationship at that time. And he got cancer or something. He passed away. He's the guy who was in The Godfather too. He played the weak brother.
Well, I haven't seen that yet, so leave that alone. Stop spoiling everything.
Okay, well,
for me.
He passed away.
I know, and I gotta say, like, I really loved the whole cast. Honestly, there wasn't one bad actor in the film.
No.
So I loved all the performances.
They did a good job of casting.
They were a good group of friends,
Mm-hmm.
and if they had an award for best ensemble, I'd give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Christopher Walken did a really good job. Robert De Niro, of course, did a good job. But this movie just leaves me with like a meh feeling. Like almost the same as the one that I watched yesterday, where that movie was just like boring as hell. And it left me even more of a meh feeling. I mean, Safi, what do you think? Because, I mean, you said this movie's really good, but it is, like, good, but it's like, is it great?
Well,
Safi?
I don't,
Is it great? Like, is this a good movie?
Yeah,
Like,
I do. I really do think it is. It's
I
just
will
because
watch
you
it
can't
again.
get those actors together like that. That's once in a lifetime. I mean, those particular actors. That's once in a lifetime that you'll ever see them perform together again.
But they screwed it up because they didn't tell a complete story.
Well, that's the flaw with the movie.
Yeah.
And it's something I didn't see before, but I mean, I recognized it right away. It was, oops, it's windy outside. This thing when they were captured and escaped, that's when I first noticed it. And no, that was the second time. The first time is when they're hunting, and then all of a sudden they're in Vietnam. And I'm like, you can see that now. I don't think we've ever been to Pittsburgh, although I know people there. We have family there, apparently. We just found that out a year or so ago. And I didn't realize they had these mountains nearby, but I mean, it's a beautiful place. But so you see these beautiful mountains, you see snow, and then all of a sudden you see palm trees and big explosions, and I mean, all of a sudden
It's
you
very
go from
jarring.
one to the other, real quick. And so you're not in Pittsburgh anymore.
I would say my favorite parts of the movie are, I love the first hunting trip where they're having the sandwiches and the Twinkies and they're fighting about all their things and getting ready to go hunting. I really would have liked to have seen more of that, more of them going on hunting trips together, since the movie's called The Deer Hunter. And, and then I love the scene, of course, in Vietnam where they're doing the Russian roulette, because apparently the Vietnamese guy who had a mean look on his face, he was racist in real life, and he didn't like white people, and so he was actually like
He wasn't acting.
yeah, he wasn't acting at all. And so I thought that was great because it made the scene so much better, and the scene was a really, really good scene, and it's too bad that couldn't have been the whole movie, because there was only like 10 minutes of Vietnam in the whole movie, and this whole 3-hour movie. And
Yeah,
that
there
kind of,
wasn't really much, even in the end when he goes back to get the guy.
and that pissed me off because I thought, like, how could they even call this a war movie if there's no war in the movie?
Do they call it a war movie?
Yeah, they call this a war movie.
Hmm.
I wouldn't call it a war movie. I just can't.
I wouldn't either, but I think it's about the pitfalls of war and the devastation it brings back home as well as on the front.
I really didn't get a picture of that though because it was just so rushed, and it was such an incomplete story. The way that it just felt like they were doing the bare minimum in terms of the script, in terms of Robert De Niro comes home, and we have all these like miscellaneous scenes strung together with him and Meryl Streep and him and the friends. And that's another thing is that I was really disappointed that we didn't get to see the other friends in Vietnam. Besides like the first three, like did we get to see the fat guy in Vietnam?
No.
Like see,
No.
like I wanted to see that. Like I didn't because I thought that the whole point of the first act was that we were building up to seeing all these friends fighting in the war, and then we only get to see like 3 of them in the war. And so I thought that was really weird the way that as I said, the structuring, the plot structure, and then at the end there was a good scene where he goes back and it's like an intense final showdown between him and Christopher Walken, and it was a really good scene. So you have those two scenes. Those two scenes are definitely award-worthy scenes. But the rest of the movie is just kind of take it or leave it for me. Like, those scenes are really better than the movie itself. Those 2 Russian roulette scenes. What do you think, Safi?
I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. They're very, very uncomfortable for me to watch that Russian roulette. It was so gross. And then at the end, I mean, that was probably, I would say that was the most priceless scene.
Yeah.
Robert De Niro said, "You want to see me do this? I love you." And to the guys trying to rescue.
Safi, turn off your fucking phone.
No, I want to see if I have a message about
too
the
bad.
groceries. I said I would leave it on.
It's off now.
Anyway, I thought that was out of the whole movie. Even when they're prisoners and the marriage thing, which is really very culturally interesting. I think all the dancing and the singing and
It's kind of pointless, though.
well, whatever. But it was like a cultural thing, and
Yeah, I
that's
guess.
America. That's not Europe. And
Oh, you mean Americans have culture?
it's a different, like a European group. Well, it's Greek. I guess it was a Greek Orthodox religion.
Well, no, I was saying that because there are some idiots nowadays who like to say that American people don't have culture.
Oh my God!
And it's probably one of the stupidest
That's
things I've ever
stupid.
heard.
So, but that scene at the very end, and the other guy, the American, I mean, he's like really totally lost it, and he finally comes around, and it's like a big stone has been lifted up off his head, and he has this realization of who he is and who his friend is, and it's too late.
And it's funny because with that scene, even if if you're like me and you just think this movie is like okay, which I really wanted to like the movie, obviously, or else I wouldn't have picked it to watch for the best pictures. I mean, I had a trillion movies to pick from, and like almost 100 movies,
Ew.
and so I picked the stuff that I picked was the stuff that I thought would be the best. So the fact that this wasn't the best says something about the movie, and the fact that why it won Best Picture. But the one thing though is that even if you don't love the movie, because I think it's okay, I definitely watch it again sometime, time in the future, like no time soon, because it's just like, why would I watch this when I could watch Born on the 4th of July, Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, Rambo First Blood? I mean, do I need to go on? But even if you don't like love this movie, you still have to admit that those two Russian roulette scenes are like cinema history, like 100% perfect scenes. Well, you know what's funny, Safi?
What?
Someone that I know, this was pretty hilarious. Someone said years ago that before I even saw the movie,
Mm-hmm.
they said that they had watched it and that they thought that that scene wasn't very emotionally effective.
Oh no,
And
that's not true.
And they didn't really care about it at all.
Oh.
And I thought, like, see, that's like a huge red flag, like, because that just shows like you have to be someone who has some like a mental illness if you don't think that those scenes are effective. Like, that's like, I would say that is an objective thing. Like, even if you hated the movie, you could at least say, yeah, those two scenes are really good. Right, Safi?
Yes, absolutely.
But did this movie deserve to win Best Picture?
Yes, probably.
No way!
Why? What was it up against?
Well, 1978 had some good movies, and
Probably did. The movies were really good back then.
one of those good
Sorry,
movies was a funny little horror movie called Halloween! And you know as well as I do that Halloween is way better than this movie.
I don't think so, huh?
Oh, shit. Are you serious?
You don't need to swear.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, let's debate it right now.
No, let's not, because we don't have the time to
Oh, BS.
If you people would like to comment about that and debate, do you think that Halloween is better than the Deer Hunter?
Halloween is way better. It tells a more complete story, Safi.
It's changed multiple times.
This is the first movie. We're not talking about the shitty
That
Halloween
came out
2018.
Same year, I can't believe it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Halloween is way better than the Deer Hunter.
So you would nominate the characters in Halloween for an Academy Award?
Not the characters. I would nominate the movie. I would give the acting awards to the Deer Hunter or whatever else was worthy. I don't know. But that's the main one that was notable for that year. And you know as well as I do that Halloween deserves Best Picture way more.
No, I don't believe
Safi.
Sorry. I don't agree.
So many people know Halloween who don't know a thing about what the Deer Hunter is.
Well, that's them. That's because we haven't had the Deer Hunter 2, 3, 4,
Let's
5,
be honest,
6,
this movie
7,
is dated.
8.
This movie is dated. It's just
Yes, it is.
It's just an anti-Vietnam movie.
Yes, it is.
And let's be honest,
an anti-war movie.
Safi, if you weren't anti-Vietnam, then you were probably retarded. Okay, because anti-Vietnam is another like objective issue where if you're pro-Vietnam War, then that's just a part of a mental illness.
There was nobody in my family who was the pro-Vietnam War. We were.
No, I'm saying that the movie is worthless. The movie is completely worthless.
I don't
You
agree.
don't need this movie to tell you that Vietnam War bad. Everyone who had a brain knew that Vietnam War was bad. The only people who liked the Vietnam War were people who liked to spend money to make money over there by going to war over there. And so it's like what was the point of this movie? Like, to me, the point was friendship, and that was the stuff that was the best, but it was all overshadowed by the fact that we couldn't even get complete scenes. I mean, at least in Halloween we got complete scenes. And oh, Safi, you want to talk about music since you're just such you're so fond of music,
So
like
are you.
My Fair Lady and Sound of Queer Music. You're so fond of music. Well, Halloween has the best music of 1978 by far, and the music really carries the movie and makes it even better than it already is. And you got to admit that, Safi. I mean, are you going to remember the music, the boring music from The Deer Hunter?
It's music I'm familiar with. It was music
like,
at the time. I
like,
remember it.
it's dull.
Well,
It's
okay.
dull and boring.
I don't know what to tell you. That was like popular music.
Not as popular as, how does that go? Halloween. Halloween's a lot better than that.
Okay, Marco, we're not rating a best picture entirely on this kind of picture. We're not going to rate it on music. It's not a musical.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the excuse? That's the excuse for the bad music?
Oh, God. Whatever.
The argument is this movie deserving of Best Picture? N-O.
Boy, I don't think anything that we watched, Marco would let it be nominated for Best Picture.
That is complete bullshit,
Okay,
Safi.
what are the other movies that would you allow then all the other movies to get Best Picture?
We have asked this question in every single video,
okay,
Safi.
well, we're at the end now.
Marty did not deserve to win
Okay.
because Night of the Hunter was way better than that shit.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
Night of the Hunter, way better movie. Way better. Like light years better.
What else?
Like
Keep
lifetimes better.
What else?
What was the second one we watched? My Fair Lady. Well, I'm not really familiar with the movies for that year, but I would say from the things that I saw, that movie probably deserved to win Best Picture. Okay, what's the next one, Safi? Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah.
I can't really remember the movies from that year. I would say I would give that Best Picture probably. It's tough though. And then the next one, Unforgiven. Well, I can't remember, but it was a great movie. I would give it Best Picture. And Sound of Music, I thought at first that would be an easy no, but then I saw the movies that came out that year, and it seems like that was a good choice as well to get Best Picture. So this is really the second one that I think is undeserving. Safi.
Okay.
What do you think of that?
Well, that's fine because I know that when I went through the whole list of Best Picture awards, that I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, like, ooh, this one?
I mean, that wasn't, the ones he's talking about, those weren't the only ones, in my opinion, and I mean, that flower thing and the Japanese thing, and I just really,
American Beauty was good, Safi.
I didn't care for it at all.
Oh, I do.
I watched it, I don't like it at all.
Oh, I do.
But that's good for you. We're not going to be clones of each other. I mean, there are things that we agree on, but something like this...
Yeah, but you have to argue for your opinions. You can't just say...
I'm not going to stand here and argue about American Beauty. We're not talking about American Beauty.
No,
okay?
We should have a debate over Deer Hunter and Halloween.
No, I don't want to.
Why?
Because it's not worth my time.
You never want to debate.
No, I just don't because it's not worth my time.
No, you're obviously not good at debating.
Maybe not. I don't want to do it.
Well, there you go. I won. Halloween wins.
Okay, yeah, right.
Boom. That's how that works.
Okay, well, so is there anything else you want to say about the movie? Is there anything you liked? What did you like about the movie?
I said that the movie looked really good.
Okay, it looked good.
It looked like a painting.
And what about the actors?
All the
acting. The actors?
All the actors were perfect.
Yes. Basically, those are the two major things that you liked about it, right?
Well, the movie was long and boring. Like, nothing really happened. Everything, before anything could happen, it would just cut off. And we wouldn't get to see, a full scene. But I like some sequences. I love the hunting sequences. I love the 2 Russian roulette sequences. And I really liked...
the ones at the end.
The one?
Not the Russian roulette scenes at the end, not the ones during the prisoner of war camp, except...
Yes, Safi, I like that one too.
That one was good.
Why wouldn't I like that one?
I don't know how they did it. That went really fast.
That was cool. It was a very
It was
cool
cool.
scene, and that pissed me off because I wanted to see more of that and less of Robert De Niro just walking around town being like, "Oh, hey guys, how's it going? Oh yeah, you doing good? Oh yeah, you doing good? Yeah, where's that guy? Oh yeah." It's like it's just like, come on, Safi.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like the movie was blundered.
Okay.
The movie could have been a lot better, and it's due to the writing and the editing. Maybe I don't know
I
because
don't know. I don't know if they did that deliberately.
yeah, like was it the author of the book who like had that much of like a was he like ADD and he just wanted to move on to whatever's next like as quickly as
I mean,
possible?
it's like they got a gallon of paint and they were doing a painting, and all of a sudden somebody came up and they threw black paint all over it
Yeah.
or white paint. I mean, they covered up everything.
If the movie was the full movie of what it should be, it would be a really good movie. But it's not. It's not a complete movie. In fact, this is probably the worst one. And so that leads me to my next point is let's rank the best picture, Safi. Because we had 6, you
Well,
chose 3.
I think Marty would probably be the best one.
The best one?
Well, it's short and sweet,
No,
tells a complete story.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not
No
good
way.
at doing that. I
No, we
despise
start
ranking.
off at the end, at the worst.
Okay.
And
well,
I gotta say, it's between this and Sound of Music.
Well, I'm not going to pick
And-
Sound of Music at the worst because the music is so memorable and people will remember it forever. Okay?
I guess.
I'm thinking about The Deer Hunter. You have to see it. And some people haven't seen The Sound of Music, but they may have heard The
Oh,
Hills
don't-
Are Alive. And so they
Oh,
have heard
oh.
that. Or I know they've heard Doe a Deer, but that was a song, established song before the movie even came out.
Just because you did that, I'm putting Sound of Music in last place.
Okay, you go
Okay.
ahead and rank the
Sound of
movies. I don't want
Music.
anything to do with it.
Last place,
Okay,
Sound of
yeah.
Music.
Let's hear about Marco being opinionated and not letting anybody else have a brain or talk or think on their own.
But we're arguing
At
for
age 23.
we're arguing for our own separate opinions, Safi.
No,
you can
it's
have
just ridiculous.
you can say that it's better, but then when you annoyingly start humming and see this, the problem is that Safi ruins her own movies because she likes to sing them out loud, and she's such a terrible singer that it just completely ruins the songs.
Great, Marco.
And-
I really appreciate that. I know that I can't sing.
Well, like it completely just makes it sound worse.
Okay.
Well, it affects the movie.
Okay, let's
Safi.
keep moving.
Well, so I don't know. It's tough. I'd probably put The Deer Hunter in last place, actually, because I would just say that Sound of Music has a lot more things to like. So I would say The Deer Hunter is at number 6. Sound of Music is at number 5. Number 4, I would say Marty is there. I still really liked it, but it was not complete at all. It felt like an episode of TV. And last night, Safi said the same thing, so I don't know why she's pretending like she didn't. You did, Safi.
Okay, whatever. Keep moving.
You did. You said it was like an episode of TV.
Okay, so number 3 would be what?
Oh, let's see.
My Fair Lady?
No, number 3 would be Unforgiven. Because, although...
And then the cowboy movie, and then number 1 is...
No,
Oh.
and number 2 is My Fair Lady.
Okay.
And number 1 is Midnight Cowboy.
Okay.
But they were all pretty good.
I would think so. They all won Best Picture.
Well, Best Picture
just
really
some
isn't a
things-
mark of quality anymore, Safi.
I know. But I don't think it's just now. I think it's always been that way. I think that you look at the movie and there are certain things about it that are just so high quality. But then mixed in there are things that are the lowest of the low. And I guess you have to pick the movie of that particular year who the things that have such very high quality would appeal to the most people. And then because then when you get to the rest of it, you start having subjective opinions about what is good and what isn't, and why would that be a best picture.
Yeah, like that shitty movie from last year, the stupid van life one, where
Oh, God.
it's like 2 hours of like sleepy time.
And I've watched a few since then, just because I know people. Their YouTube videos are 1,000 times better.
I'd rather
I just can't believe it. I was shocked.
I'd rather play the Russian roulette from American Pie Beta House that they played. I'd rather play that Russian roulette than watch that movie, that van life movie.
That was a very boring movie. I was just shocked. If you go on YouTube, and maybe you're not in every van life movie that you see isn't going to be good, but there are some really good YouTube movie makers. Or some, you don't have to be paid millions of dollars to be a good movie maker. You may be just talented or experienced enough to do a really good short video on your own that would be complete and entertaining to many people. That's why they have tons of subscribers. Find the one that I challenge people to go on YouTube, and well, I guess the only key that you would have would be pick a few that have a lot of subscribers. They have a lot of subscribers for a reason, okay? And watch those, okay? Because those are so much better even today than that movie. And that movie was horrible. It was boring. Anyway, I digress. But so that's what I kind of agree with Marco. It's just really hard. Like I said before, we each had to select a few. And then we would kind of alternate back and forth. I would watch, Marco and I would watch his, and then we'd watch mine, and then his, and mine, like that.
I did a random wheel spin.
So, and we had kind of a little bit of everything, kind of. I mean, there's only, 6?
We did not realize we picked 3-hour movies, though.
No, we certainly didn't, because I just didn't realize, and we apologize if that's a problem, but I mean, it's up to you if you want to watch the movie.
If I knew, I would have picked like American Beauty just to piss off Safi, since I really like that movie.
But
it's
anyway,
really
so we picked 6 because 6 days, and
or
then
Crash.
The 7th day.
Oh,
ew!
Because that's the worst one. That's like the worst movie.
A lot of people don't like that.
It's like,
and they just said they didn't deserve that at all.
It's like the worst movie of all time, and it's like this cringeworthy diversity lecture movie where it's like, racism is bad, but did you know that racists could be people too?
Oh
and
my God.
And so like, just for an example, they have this racist Sandra Bullock in the movie, and she falls down the stairs and hits her head, and just because she hit her head, she's cured of her racism.
Okay, that's done. But anyway, so the 7th day of the week, that's the Academy Awards. And Marco will be doing a special video in tribute to the award-winning...
No, I'm going to redo their awards because
that's right.
My awards are better.
Categories.
My choices are all better.
Nominees are winners will be a lot better than the ones that they're going to announce.
I'm giving Best Director to a woman, so suck on that, shitty ass Oscars.
Okay, well, whatever.
Well, you want to bet? If they give it to a woman, there's only one woman nominated.
I don't know.
You can guarantee they're not giving it to her.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm more woke than them. So beat that, Safi.
Okay, whatever.
Beat that.
So anyway, we have to now. We've done our ranking. We've done our review.
Now we have to rate it.
Now we have to rate it. And I made last night. I made God, what's it called again?
It was Natalie Wood's recipe for beef stroganoff.
Beef stroganoff. And it was kind of we wanted to have something good, hot, different, that wasn't too complicated. And it's not really complicated except the meat. I hadn't cooked that kind of meat maybe once a million years ago. And so we had to get a recipe for that. So you cook the meat, which was a sirloin steak, basically, which is kind of a thicker cut of meat. And it was a 1.5 pounds. And then you cook that. It has to be for a few hours in the crock pot. And then you have to cut it up, and you have to put it in this other mixture, which is the for the main recipe. And so it called for sherry. So I bought cooking sherry because, for one thing, I couldn't find the sherry. All I could see were wine, champagne,
and it's too bad
and
because
Kahlua.
that's not what you're supposed to use.
Well, then I thought cooking sherry, people do use cooking sherry. But then I wanted to know, when I got home, I wanted to know what's the difference. And Marco said, well, cooking sherry apparently is a lot saltier.
It has a ton of salt.
He tasted it.
A quarter of the salt that seawater has. And so I tasted a little bit of it, and it's fitting. It's very kind of, it's kind of like mean and distasteful that you use seawater type of cooking sherry for the dish, since, when Natalie Wood was murdered by her husband, what was the last thing she tasted? Seawater.
Yeah, I don't think you should say that, because that's never been
She
proven.
was. She was murdered by her husband.
It wasn't proven, and so you could
Clearly
probably get sued or whatever. So
you think that 90-year-old dipshit's gonna watch this video, Safi?
I don't know. I just don't think you should be spouting
Oh,
off like that.
he allegedly killed his wife, and he's a piece of shit, and I won't say anything.
Okay, I know, I don't.
But
know
what
why
I
you
was
would.
saying was that it was weird how you chose that, and the last thing she tasted was seawater.
Yeah,
So.
well, I didn't even think about that. The thing is, it wasn't perfect. For instance,
Yeah, it was.
well, Marco really liked it. I guess everybody in the house liked it. I don't know.
I give it an A+.
It was good. It turned out really good. What you were supposed to do to season the meat, you don't put the regular spices on it. You put a packet of Recipe Secrets, Lipton Recipe Secrets, and a packet of au juice. For an au juice, for that goes with meat, like for a sandwich. And I did not have the au juice. I just had the Recipe Secrets. So it had that, and then you cook it in the crock pot with water and that, and then it's just the rest of it. It's very simple, but they're good, solid ingredients. And I kind of attribute that to the cast of The Deer Hunter. You have you have a limited amount of ingredients, and each one represents one of those characters. So, and it wasn't perfect. Like I said, it'd be nice to see what it would be like with real sherry. Sorry, and the au juice packet to go on the meat when it's cooking by itself before you put it in with the rest of the recipe.
And from now on, we're not gonna call her Natalie Wood. We're gonna call her Natalie Stroganoff. Right, Safi?
I guess. So that's my rating for it. How about you?
Well, I had to think of something where it felt like things were missing, or it felt like you couldn't really get a complete experience. And there was one time where we went to the Russian Tea Room, which is a really good restaurant. And I went there in a t-shirt and shorts.
In Chicago, across from the art gallery.
Yeah. And I got something that was like, they said that it's some sort of a royal meal, like some royal people had it back in the old days, and I can't remember, but they said it was like a royal duck meal. And so I had duck, and the duck was really, really good. It was perfectly cooked. I love duck, and it was really delicious, and that was the cast. and then there was some carrot slaw on the side and some other sides.
I like that though.
But the sides really weren't as good, and it was kind of a weird mixture, and you kind of felt like there was something missing. Like maybe the side dishes could have been a little bit better. The carrot slaw was good though, but I'm saying that specifically because I can't remember like the other sides that they put on there because they were so forgettable. And then this movie, the problem is that you have all this good stuff it's sandwiched inside of this forgettable movie where things are cut off and inexplicably, and it's very irritating. But it's still a good meal because I like that meal, and I got a really good piece of cake for dessert. I can't remember what it was, but it was really good. They had such good-looking desserts, too.
Well, they also have really good tea.
Yeah, really good tea.
It was their tea. They made it.
Perfect tea.
Oh, God.
Very good meal.
Best tea I've ever had.
Yeah. So, Safi?
So if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you want to be one of our subscribers, we welcome you with open arms to make a comment, sharing your views about what you think are good Oscar award-winning movies. And out of this group, which ones do you like, or do you like every single one of them? And then stay tuned for Marco's version of the Oscars tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be on tomorrow, but...
yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
It's on tomorrow at 8.
Well, no, I'm talking about your version, if it will be up online.
Well, hopefully, I'm hoping to, because it's going to be such a long video, and it's already pretty late today, but I'm hoping to shoot it today and edit it tomorrow and upload it so that it'll premiere at 8 o'clock when the Oscars premiere.
Okay. So, goodbye,
Goodbye, everybody.